City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and today I am here with porn star, OnlyFans content creator, and model Dalton Riley. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Work. I'm good. Work. So, where are you originally from?
Originally, Nashville, Tennessee.
I know what it's like being in the South. I'm in the South now. I cannot wait to leave. I'm planning on doing that this year. So, I'm originally from Florida.
Okay,
Yeah.
South,
And yeah.
south of South.
Yeah. And I live there now, and I'm like, Florida's not it. Like,
Yeah,
like it
not your
really
thing.
just
Not doing it for you. I
no.
mean,
I'm
Nashville wasn't doing it for me, so I moved to Atlanta.
actually Atlanta was one of the places I wanted to move, but then like all of a sudden Atlanta became too expensive, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah, it's a bit of a beast, but yeah.
Which is why I'm planning on moving to, and a lot of people think I'm crazy when I say this. I'm planning on moving to Detroit.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
because
actually like watched a YouTube thing on like Detroit like not long ago. So I mean, smart.
it's not only cheap, it's like I'm also a musician, and like I'm planning on putting out an album this year, and like Detroit is like the place where I can afford to like live and do that, and like
And do that.
yeah,
Perfect combination. There you go. I
yeah,
mean, hey, if it's, if it's providing what you need and what you want and all that stuff, it's perfect. There you go.
yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly. It's like God, Nashville. People said Nashville. This is the thing. Everyone said like all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden when they say Detroit, I'm like, people like for music. I'm like, do you not remember that? Not only is hip hop like huge in Detroit, but Detroit's where Motown's from. Like,
hmm
literally, it's like history. And like, granted, I make nowhere near that. I make electronic music, but it's like still, nonetheless, it's like I don't mind being the flavor that's a little bit different in a place that's like more like rock guys and rap guys. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
sticking out isn't always bad. I definitely stuck out in Nashville.
exactly.
Let me tell you that.
Yeah,
For sure, for sure. But yeah.
yeah. So, what was it like for you growing up as a kid?
Oh God. Oh, we're gonna need, we're gonna need a lot more time for that. Um, what was it like for me growing up as a kid? Um, it was. Oh God. I lived out in the country, so like just outside of Nashville. So like living on the farm and all that stuff wasn't super socialized and all of that, and it was a very interesting childhood. Oh geez,
Yeah.
like we really want to go into it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I love when people say this, and like when people are like, "I had a bad one." I'm like, well, I mean, mine was okay. Like, I always felt misunderstood, but it's like
hmm
that's how you feel as an artist. Like, if,
hmm
as I always say, just for the things that like happened to me, I'm like, if life had gone perfectly,
hmm
wouldn't have been a songwriter. Like, in all honesty, like if I that's the other reason why I live in Florida, but I live in like small town or small suburb South Florida, and it's like the thing I'm like, and you probably felt this in Tennessee. I see everybody's life around me, and I don't want any of it.
Not your thing.
No,
No,
because it's
not your
like,
style. Not your life.
because it's like this is the thing, especially doing this. It's like you all know people around here. As I said, I was just telling you before. I've done interviews internationally and all this. So it's like I'm living in this is just an example. It's like I'm
hmm
living in small like suburb Florida, and like I have Ricky Dillon's phone number. Like this or no, not Ricky Dillon, Ricky Roman's phone number. And it's like these things are not like correlating. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm just like, it's like I do not like, um, what is it? Yeah, and it's like honestly, starting at like a teenager, I was the person who's like, I want to move to New York City, and then all of a sudden you realize New York City's not affordable as you get
Right.
older.
You have to the when the you start looking into the dreams and stuff that you have, and like, okay, well, practicality. What's it actually going to be like? Like, what am I going to have to do? How expensive is it going to be? What's my life like really going to be like when
Yeah.
I'm there? Like, just like the daily things and stuff like that. Yeah, it's yeah, it can it can be a lot.
Yeah. So, what was it like for you coming out?
I did not get to come out. I was outed, so that was fun. Um, yeah, my I'm telling you, just one tragic story right after the next. Uh, my my childhood and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I was outed. It wasn't very fun. I was mm, terrified. Like terrified. Like I wanted to just hide, run away, not exist. Just like it was terrible. Like living in a very conservative area,
Hmm.
state, all that stuff.
Yes.
And like that happening, it was it was a lot, and I didn't really have anyone to um to support me or anything like that. So it was very difficult, very very difficult. So like that's kind of like a thing for me. Like I don't understand why people or where people can find I guess joy or satisfaction in like outing someone, because like
Yeah.
that's something that's very it's the most personal thing ever. You
Yeah.
like it's something that should be done in your own time, your own way, when you're ready, and all that stuff. Like it was like you know it shouldn't be you know joked about or taken lightly or be like, oh, just done you know frivolously. It's so yeah,
Well,
don't
but
yeah.
believe me, my story's not good either. We're gonna get into it. So, like, I would say in some ways, I always say in some ways I was fortunate because most people had to come out to two parents.
Hmm.
I didn't because I came out 4 months after my mom died. So it's
Oh
only having
wow.
to come out to my dad, and then I have an older sister
Yeah.
who was really accepting. And then fast forward to November of last year, all of a sudden she had been married before. I went to her wedding, all of that. I look in November, she's posting all this rainbow stuff, and she has her maiden name again.
Hmm.
So I put two and two together, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
right. Welcome to the family, sis. Like,
Right. Yeah.
but yeah, as I said, family was good. So I, stupidly, growing up as a religious kid, I came out to youth minister at a
Mm.
church,
Oh.
and I told him about this performance idea I had with like a knife and how I'd practice stabbing myself because I'm dramatic, clearly. And
I never would have guessed.
and he left the room. He came back in about 10 minutes later. He said, okay, you have one of two options. Either you're coming with me or I'm calling the cops. Now, in hindsight, I would have let him call the cops
Hmm.
because the cops wouldn't have done anything.
Uh-uh.
So
Nothing.
I went with him. He
Uh-huh.
took me to get a psych eval.
Mm. Love that.
They had told me I had passed it, but so I was on the phone with my dad, like at this hospital. I'm like, yeah, just come back here and get me. Like everything's good. Then all of a sudden I had a cop yelling at me. He's like, get off the phone. I'm
Uh,
like,
okay.
what the fuck? Like,
Ye- okay.
and then they
Dramatic.
stuck me in a hospital room. And then for 5 hours, they didn't tell me anything. They just left me in there, kind of let the night like dwell on. And then like
Uh-huh.
around like 2 o'clock in the morning, I got approached by, I'm pretty sure it was a cop. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was another cop that basically told me they had done what they do in Florida, which is called Baker acting, when they put you on a suicide hold.
Oh,
Eh,
okay.
And yeah. And then from
Hmm.
there, I was transported in an ambulance to a behavioral clinic where I didn't spend the full 72. I got let out early. I would have been, in truth, if I was brought in on a weekend, if I had been brought in during the week, I probably would have been out in 24 hours. But
Yeah.
I ended up having to do 64 because the weekend psychiatrist was telling me, he's like, playing with knives is dangerous. I'm like, I know that. Like, yeah, I understand. I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's not like I was actually trying to like harm
Yeah.
myself. So then after that was done, a week later, the youth minister and a priest trapped me in a room with
Hmm.
a therapist who
Yeah.
tried to pray the gay away.
Yeah. So, first of all, I'm sorry that was your experience.
Thank you.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Uh, wow. Okay. So them bringing in the therapist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No therapist is ever going to pray the gay away. Like it just doesn't make sense.
No,
Like to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like I
exactly.
yeah. So wow. I cannot believe that happened. I cannot believe. Yeah. I okay. So let me share a little bit more about
Go ahead, baby.
my experience. So I too came from a very religious upbringing. Uh, my family was well, my parents were ministers, and so I'm technically a preacher's kid. Um,
Yeah.
and so like that was my life growing up, and we worked with um, kids, like children and youth ministry was like their thing,
Yeah.
um, and like still is to this day. Uh, but it was so like I was supposed to be like the perfect like picturesque like child because
Yes.
my parents were children and youth ministers, so like I had to be the perfect one because if I'm not perfect and doing all the the right things and all that stuff, how can how can they lead and teach all the other the kids and youth if they can't even control their own kids. So that was a huge huge thing for me, like hiding it and like knowing like finally like understanding like figuring out like
Yeah.
that I was gay, like things kind of connecting, um
Mm-hmm.
like absolutely terrified whenever I realized that I was gay, because all I had ever heard since I was born, you know every sermon, every conference, every revival, any kind of church function that I had gone to, and it the topic of gay had come up, like everything I had heard, it was wrong, it was disgusting, it was bad, it was evil, it was practically like basically the worst sin that you could commit besides murder.
Of
um
course.
so you know that's what I grew up with as a kid. Like that image of what being gay was. You know, it was, you know, bad and evil and like, you know, they're horrible people and like all this stuff and it's unnatural and all that stuff. I'm like, but it feels natural to me. I don't feel that way. That, you know, that they're talking about. I don't do those things. I don't feel that certain, you know, like there's it was so twisted and distorted, and it was like I really had to like figure out how to like I guess be be okay with being gay, like the fact that I
Right.
was gay, like, and you know, because like religion and everything like that was, you know, it was my life. Like we were like traveling ministers, we were like all over the place. So like
Of course.
it was it was a it was it was a lot to like kind of come into, you know, to kind of like put together and you know, be able to be okay with the fact that, you know, oh, that's wait a minute, that's being gay isn't wrong because it is natural, and everybody else just needs to catch up.
Yeah.
um yeah, so me being the preacher's kid that I was, let me get back on track here. um I obviously, you know, was trying to be, you know, the perfect, you know, the perfect child, you know, and you know, not doing anything wrong. um but, you know, and it was fine until I hit my teens.
Right.
16, 17. You know, uh starting to want to socialize and, you know, learn more, you know, because I knew that I was gay. Like I had become comfortable with the fact that I was gay at that point, you know, because of all the, you know, the, you know, personal, like, just soul searching or whatever you want to call it, like kind of thing. Like, you know, like how do I feel about it? Like what is my, you know, like everything because of my religious upbringing. Like it was basically having to like get rid of like the gay brainwashing that went on.
Absolutely.
Like kind of like coming out of that and like being like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like so once I got past that, um yeah, it got hard to hide when I get to like 16, 17, like wanting to socialize and do all that stuff because all my friends were just in the church. I didn't have any kind of other friends because I would was homeschooled, so I didn't like go to school and like have like normal friends and like do things like that. And you know, I didn't have, you know, any kind of exposure outside of, you know, the church, the, you know, outside of, you know, people that
Wow.
were in the church. So like I was literally in the bubble. I was in the
Yeah.
church bubble. And I had no like, you know, any kind of, you know, exposure or anything like that. And so like 16, 17 was, you know, when that happened. And I thankfully around that time, uh like AOL and like Yahoo Messenger and like all that stuff was like in its prime. Like everybody was on Yahoo Chat and like all that stuff. So I started going to like chat rooms and like stuff like that. And that's how I started like interacting with other gay people, like other gay men, was like that way. Like that was my first, that was like my only kind of thing to you know, to know more, to learn more about that part of me that I'm having to hide. And so also around that time, MySpace, total boom, and you know, met some friends and things like that on there. And so one of my friends that I had met, um, also gay, also from a religious family upbringing, had all this, a lot of self hate and all that. Like looking back at it now, like, you know, having processed all of that, um, he, you know, was struggling a lot himself, and made the very bad move of outing me. to my family because he was jealous that I was going to go hang out with a guy at the mall. And yeah, it was awful. Like it was so weird, like having, or like I didn't even know that it was like that he had done it though. Like I was just gonna go to the mall and hang out with this guy and talk and hang
Right.
out, like just like wasn't anything like weird or sexual or anything like that. Just to hang out, to have someone to talk to that was like me for once, and
Yeah.
he was just like so jealous or disturbed or whatever it was that he actually contacted my brother online, like through my MySpace or whatever the hell it was. And my brother was like, you should talk to my sister. Because my sister and I are super, super, super close.
Yeah.
Especially back then. Like, we're basically the same human being. So he was like, you should reach out to her. So we did, and then she was like, "Okay, this is a little weird. Let me give you our phone number." So he literally called my house and left a message, like a voicemail, saying what I was going to do, that I was going to go to the mall, say that I was going to the mall with my friend, but I was actually going to the mall to meet this guy instead. And they thought he was crazy. They thought that he was just like totally out of his mind and all that stuff. Um, so when I went to the mall, my sister followed me and she saw me like meet up with this guy and it not be my best friend that I said it was going to be. And like that was that. But I didn't know that he had called the house or anything like that. Or obviously because I wouldn't have gone. But so like I didn't find that out for, few years after it happened. I just thought she was just around and, it just so happened to, see us together and, put two and two together and all that stuff. So it was it was crazy. It was a crazy experience.
Yeah.
So super traumatic, awful, terrible. um,
Right.
but I am totally cool with them now. My family, like my sister and I, we talked earlier on the phone about everything, like about my job, like all of this. She knows all of it. She knows all about. She knows all about Dalton Riley and all of that stuff. So it's like it's all cool now. It just took them, it just took them a little while to, do their own, uh, to educate themselves, like, really figure out what they felt and believed personally about being gay whenever, they looked at or, were given resources that weren't, hate speech sermons from the pulpit. Like they
Absolutely.
started doing their own like little independent research, so to speak. And in doing that, they're like, oh, hey, this is totally fine. Like this is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with this. And so, we're all on the same page now. And it's it's great. I have a close relationship with my family and my siblings and all that stuff. And, it, was a very traumatic time, being outed and doing all of that. And, you know, but, if I hadn't, like, if it hadn't happened, I guess they wouldn't have done their own, you know, research, their own soul searching, their own like I did
Right.
whenever I was coming out of the brainwashing kind of thing. I truly felt like what felt natural and not what they were told. Um, like it just, you know, I'm glad they did. I'm glad that that happened like then, because now we're great, and I have this thing with them. When I thought as a kid that I was going to be just completely disowned, just cast away. I wasn't going to have a family or anything like that.
Right.
So it's like I'm very thankful that I have a family that loves me and supports me and all that stuff the way that they do, and that they were despite their upbringings, their childhoods, how they were raised, super conservative and like all that stuff, despite
Right.
all of that, they use their own mind and just they weren't swayed by someone else's opinion. They made up their own mind. They did, they figured out what it was, how they truly felt about it,
Yeah.
and weren't influenced by someone. So yeah, really proud of them.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, like, first of all, with all of that, I am a person who like fully believes that everyone who's like, as I always tell people, if you can think of your life and you've had very few traumas in your life, obviously I don't think you've experienced much.
Yeah.
And it's like, because speaking to my coming out, as I say, that was the start of like my spiral down.
Hmm.
Because like, I would say I'm going to use the 10-year gap from 18. So I came out at 18, from 18 to 28. In that time, as I said, locked up in a behavioral clinic.
Hmm.
I was suicidal twice.
Oh yeah, that was
Uh,
a part of my yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
I got raped
Mm.
and I got sexually assaulted and dragged. So that's all like that all happened within the span of that happened from 18 to 25. That all happened like in
Yeah.
that time. So I'm one of those people who says, and it's why I put all of this into my album that's coming out this year. So it's like with all of that, it's like some people, like I will say this, I have no problem running my mouth because honestly, if you hear about that life, in truth, I honestly didn't think I was gonna live to be 30. So I figured I'm like, well, fuck, I might as well just run my mouth now if I'm gonna be dead by the time I'm 26. Like,
we're we're just on bonus time right now. Let's just have fun with it.
yeah, that's why it's like I'm literally, yeah, because I'm turning 30 this year. I'm 29, and I'm thinking, I'm like, fuck, I did not expect to be here.
Hmm.
And that's why when people say like plan for the future, I'm like, well, considering I didn't think the future was gonna happen,
Yeah.
I've kind of planned for like tomorrow. Like I
Short
didn't
term.
plan for like, yeah,
I'm more of a yeah, I'm more of a short term goal person. Yeah, it's I mean I get that. I totally get that.
and people who are so afraid, I'm like, why be afraid? Especially I feel like when you have a platform of like entertainment, whatever, it's like in some ways the cycle's never gonna completely stop. But if you can speak to somebody who's like in the middle of that cycle and be like, listen, all this stuff's gonna happen to you, but if you find a way to like put it out, you're gonna
Hmm.
find um some sort of closure.
Hmm.
Now, granted, for a lot of people that's therapy.
Hmm.
I will admit I'm one person who's scared to go to therapy, partially because
No, don't
I,
be scared of therapy.
this is the thing. I actually had this discussion. I had a doctor on here before who's a
Okay.
psychiatrist, and like he told me it's like he can let some of this out. I'm like, listen, let's put out the album. Let's see. what
Let's see
happens
what
because
that
it's
gets
like,
out of your system.
yeah, because it's like this thing. I've written songs since I was 14 years old, so like I don't know this thing of when people say like all you do is cope with things in music. I'm like, yeah, it's like because that's all I've ever done. Like,
Yeah,
why would I have changed?
that's how you process it, by
Yeah,
putting it into music.
and it's like I have to, as I'm getting older, less of the like petty stuff I put into music, but sometimes it's like, well, actually, I
Sometimes
don't
you need a
even,
petty track.
I don't even think it's like petty. It's it was me. It's not on the album. It'll be on the this thing. This is my life. I literally have written an album and I have an EP written. I haven't even
Uh-huh.
recorded one note, and I'm like, this is being an artist. It's like,
I get
but
it.
it's like
I totally get it.
in one of the songs I wrote on the EP, I wrote about this person who I thought was my friend, is somebody who had been on here 4 times. Actually, in truth, it's somebody you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Hmm.
and it's like, so they were my friend, and well, at least I thought they were my friend, and then all of a sudden, like one day, everything that they had said that they weren't gonna do on here, they were a musician, and they're like, I'm a musician. I'm not doing OnlyFans anymore. I want to be taken seriously as an artist. I'm not an underwear model anymore. They said all that shit here. And
Okay.
then come 3 months later, back on OnlyFans, back to underwear modeling,
Yeah.
and not doing music anymore. It's like
Huh.
interesting.
Hmm.
And then the cherry on top was so they had like started distancing me, and then like how I found out they didn't want to be friends. I went on Instagram one day. I went to go type in their name,
Uh-huh.
and it said user not found.
Mm. I wonder what they
And,
did.
well, here's what I believe what they did. Here's what I've come to. I was being actually, I was being nice shady because it's like I was
Uh-huh.
talking about them, but I wasn't like adding them or anything. I was just like
Uh-huh. I know who
putting
you're talking
stuff.
about.
You do know who I'm talking about?
Oh, I'm pretty good at putting things together. Um, I have a very good idea of who you're talking about. So please continue. I'm loving this story.
So it's like my thing was like I think the statement that like pissed him off the most was I said in my story, some people view some people treat doing music as wearing a hat that they take on and off.
Uh-huh.
I'm a real artist. Like
Like you wake up and that's what you think about.
it's
Like
what
you like it's like
it's
it's what motivates you. It's what drives you. It's what you like.
yeah.
It consumes you. It's who
It's
you
like
are.
it's like all of this shit. It's like for me, it's like yes, I have this. Like granted, I think about this all the time. It's like at the end of the day, I know there would be no Prince Electro Diamond if I wasn't a songwriter. Like that's
Right.
and from that, it's like with that now, I'm just thinking about like, okay, great. Actually, you're definitely gonna know who I'm talking about when I say this next statement. So yeah, it's like, go ahead, bitch, just exploit your relationship online for everybody to see, and when you fizzle out of that, because let's get real, I don't know why in some ways you don't know why you're shocked by that. It's like this person doesn't commit to anything. Like they were in DC a month, and then like all of a sudden they left. I'm like, and at this point, I don't know. As I said, I'm almost 30. It's like, if I need people in my life, I need people who are actually gonna be here. I need some sort of foundation. I mean, granted, I get wanting to explore.
You want
more.
quality. You
Yeah.
don't want, you don't want just like you don't want shallow depth friends. You want like, the deep friendships, the ones that are going to last, the ones that you can talk to about things, the ones that, just randomly reach out to you just to see like how you're doing, and you do the same for them. Like that level of, I mean, I went through that too. That's, yeah, I get it. I definitely get it. I totally get it.
And yeah, I mean, like, because here's my thing. It's like, don't get me wrong. If somebody had said like the thing with him, and I'm gonna get in my next question in a second, but it's like if he had said, I needed to make money. I'm back to doing all of this because I needed to make money.
Right.
I would have been like, okay, I understand. People got to pay bills. Right. I get you.
Right.
But it's like, for you to act like you've had an evolution when all you're doing is going back to the stuff you said that you wanted to go away from because you were tired of people sexualizing you. It's like, well, if you're thrusting yourself back into that, you did it to yourself. Like,
that was their choice. They chose to do that.
It's like when I do stuff, it's like, yes, I dress half naked in drag. I know people are going to sexualize me. I kind of put it on myself. It's not like I'm like, oh my God, don't sit there and say these things about me. It's like, yeah, I put it right in front of you. Like, I understand. I don't get pissed off. It's like, my thing is, this is the artist in me. This is so the artist in me. When people try and tell me what to do, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, fuck off. I don't care what you say. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, especially my newer fans, it's like, it's like, baby, where were you when I started being a performer 9 years ago? Like,
right.
You've just come into my life now. It's like I've just had my own sort of evolution in being that thing of it. It's like, I'm a thick bitch, and like, if I don't want to wear clothes, I'm not gonna wear clothes. And it's like, if you don't like the way that I look, as I say, don't fucking stare at me. Like, it's literally that.
My thing is, it's not my fault if I make you uncomfortable. Like, it's like, it's not my problem. It's not my fault. Like, there's something in you that's being, poked, annoyed, whatever you want to call it. Something in you that you need to deal with, that you need to confront personally, is bothered by some aspect of just me being me. That's not my problem. That's your problem that you need to deal with. Now, deal with it, and we can be cool. Like, totally fine. Like, but you have to deal with that yourself. Like, you're like, the fact that you have, like, it's not my problem. It's not my problem. Making, like, the way that, like I said, making, like, if they're uncomfortable by me, what I do, whatever it is, it's not my problem. Doesn't bother me. I love that.
Yeah.
Once I figured that out, I was like, well, fuck, okay, here we go.
And also, my thing is, when okay, I swear I'm getting to the next question. So when people judge porn stars, it's like, well, or judge OnlyFans content creators, it's like, again, you want, okay, this is my statement to people. It's like, you want people to do porn because you need something to jack off to. But it's like, but then when they do it, it's like, oh, that's so gross. That's so disgusting. It's like, but
because
you
that's what they were
want
told
this.
to think.
but you want this. Like, that's my point. It's like, but you want this. You know you want this. And it's like, somebody has to do it, because my response is, it's not like people are sending in their home movies for you to watch.
True. It's I had that conversation with a friend a couple weeks ago, like kind of around that topic of, how being in the adult industry, in whichever way it may be, whether you're, doing studio porn, OnlyFans, if you're a stripper, if you're an escort, if you're like this or that or whatever, like sex work in general, like
Yes.
how people can, have, such a problem, or, think that they have like such a problem with it, and that, oh, those people are, less than them because of the fact that they are a sex worker, because sex workers are wrong, they're bad, they're, whatever, because that's what we have been told, like, as a society, all that stuff, like, but like, it's true. So like, we grow with it, but it's just like, but you still go online and jack off to all these things. So it's like, there's a total disconnect. And it's like, it it just blows my mind. It's so bizarre. I don't understand. I just don't understand it. I'm like, can you not see that you really don't have a problem with it, because you're clearly enjoying it, but you're lying to yourself in a way, because it's just like they're like, when did they stop becoming people and just objects?
Right.
Like, you see him out in real life, like, oh, don't talk to him, don't do that, this is what they do, this what they, all that stuff, and then go home and watch one of their videos because it gets you off in 5 seconds. Like, it's just, people are fucked up,
It's because, it's like, especially, I'm gonna go to go dancers and all this. It's because, especially with that, it's almost like, in some people's minds, in a lot of people's minds, anyone who thinks it's in my mind clearly has not seen this podcast, because it's like, I feel like I've interviewed more go dancers than anybody, but it's like they're just an object. They're just there for you to stare at and touch and give money to. So you can touch them any way that you want. You can grab their dick, you can finger their asshole, and like, that's fine. It's like, the thing I want to ask people is like, ask yourself. Granted, yes, say that wasn't some random guy. Say that was your friend up there.
Uh-huh.
Now, would you want some other guy just who's literally didn't even meet, just saw this go dancer 2 seconds ago? Would you want them fingering your friend's ass? Would you want them grabbing your friend's dick? And it's like, most of the time the answer would be no. And it's like, well, then why would you do that to somebody else? Like,
yeah, I mean, the fingering is a bit far. I wouldn't, yeah. Like, it's, gosh, how do we dive into that? Maybe we don't. Maybe we just go to. maybe we just continue on and go to the next question.
yes.
Let's carry on. I feel like we could just like harp on that for days. So another day. We'll do this
Absolutely.
again. I'll come back and we'll just like really just like dig in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm vibing with you very well, so that definitely will happen. So okay, so I guess what made you want to move to Atlanta?
Uh, diversity, culture, community, all the things that I wasn't getting in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, the gay scene back in Nashville was very cliquey. Uh,
Hmm.
very much the, what we were just talking about, in the sense of, uh, oh, they do this and then they'll go home and do it themselves. But it's
Yeah.
okay because no one knows that they do it themselves. So it's like, it's just very, it was very two-faced. It was very hypocritical, and it just like, it was just like, it was just bitchy. Like
Yeah.
it like, it like uptight, and needed to just like, I just wanted to be somewhere, to be in a community that like wasn't, you know, uh, so, you know, judgmental, I guess. Yeah, I
Right.
would say they were pretty judgmental. So like, meeting people here is, it's so easy. A lot bigger of a community as well. People from, all over the country and all that stuff. So it's, it's it's not just, I guess, like the same mentality of people that were all like, born and raised the same way in the same area and like all that stuff. Like in
Hmm.
Atlanta, they're, they came from everywhere, so there's like,
Yeah.
again, diversity. And
Yeah.
so that's like, it's what I wanted. I never felt like I fit in to the gay community in Nashville. I didn't ever. And so I needed that. I wanted that.
Right.
And uh, Atlanta was nearby, and heard good things about it, and visited a few times and enjoyed it. And so then it became home whenever I was looking for more in my life and wanting to, you know, be, more social and, all that stuff, because uh, I wasn't getting that. I wasn't getting that back home.
Right.
So came here, and and also the city offers, so many other things too. Culturally speaking, like a lot of different cultures, not just honky tonk
Yes.
cowboys. It's not just bachelorettes running around in sundresses and cowboy boots. It's like, there's like, it's awesome down here. It's like so cool. People from all over, like constantly, all the events and things that go on here that are held here, that people can, uh, go experience and all that stuff. Like, it's so much more diverse and eclectic, and I love that.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, as I say, this is like to that clicky thing. It's like one of the reasons I want to leave Florida, because Florida is very much that way, and we're like what I've known from, because I actually know a drag queen in Detroit, and Detroit's not like that. Like they're all like accept you as you are. Like literally, the area I live in, the same four queens get booked for every gig. The same 4 or 5 queens get booked for every gig,
Uh huh.
and I'm not one of them, because it's like,
Uh huh.
well, firstly, now I probably know why. It's because I shit talk them behind their back. But it's like, well,
I was like,
well, my
don't
thing,
you really know why? Don't you
well,
really?
because this is my thing. I'm like, I'm the person. I'm the person who's like, it's like, listen, babies. You could do your cute little 1-2 numbers. I can do 45 minutes to an hour. That's being a musician. Like, I,
Yeah.
c- I can't do it, and it's like I had the hustle. It's like I know it. It's like unlike all of them that got started out in gay bars, when I used to live in Orlando. I got started out doing open mic nights at straight bars as a drag queen, which that's intense. Like making electronic music, putting yourself out in front of everybody, because I used to sign myself up first in front of all these bros who are literally just sitting there, all playing guitar. They're all basically doing the same thing. And it's like, I used to be that person who's like, get up there and screaming on the microphone, "How the fuck you doing tonight, Orlando?" And like, wake bitches up, because it's like, y'all gonna fall asleep when I done anyway. Like shit.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I mean, that's a hell of a start. That's a different way of doing things. I've not heard that one before. So
No, because
very cool.
thank you. Most people are scared to. I'm like, okay.
Now, were you doing your songs, right? Or were you doing, or were you like lip syncing? Like,
oh, I've never. I will say this: I'm not a lip sync queen, so like,
okay, yeah. I was
yeah.
like
No,
putting two and two
no,
together
you're
of like the open mic and like the fact that you're a
yeah,
songwriter and
yeah,
that you're a music
yeah,
artist and all that stuff. I'm like, oh well,
yeah,
no wonder you would go that route and do the open mic thing. You just did it in
yeah,
drag.
yeah.
And
Which
like
is
the other girls, like they don't have that talent or that ability, that skill that you have, and so
yeah,
why would they go that route? Why wouldn't they just go the the other way and not perform their own songs? So like, props to you. That's cool.
yeah. I love it. I mean, granted, I do have a drag sister, so I do get along with like 1 to 2 drag queens around here, and yeah, one of them is
Couple.
one of them is my drag sister, and like one day because I wear like, this is my thing, like my look is this, like sunglasses are my brand, because like literally the ones that I wear on stage, they're not these. I got these in a brand deal, but it's like they're a pair of my mom's, and they're like sunglasses, so it's like I always take like her energy with me every time that I perform. Yeah. So what was it? A few weekends ago, she did my makeup, and she's like, "Oh my god, you're so pretty." I'm like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Like, I mean, granted, it's like, yes. It's because like, I mean, granted, we started late today, but it's like, especially for doing this podcast, I have to get ready in half an hour most days. So it's like, if I had to sit there and do eyelashes and all this stuff, I don't got 2 hours to fucking get ready.
We just need to get you one of those just like silicone like hood mask things, and just like of you, just like that way you can just like slide it on and just like put your glasses on top of that and you're done. Just like give you a new skin and be like, okay, I'm ready, I'm done, quick change.
Yeah.
New look.
I love it. It's like, my thing with that is, it's like, especially now, it's like, even to this day, as a performer, and the sunglasses help, because sometimes I do get nervous. It doesn't usually happen a lot. It'll probably happen when I first perform in Detroit, because it's like, the last time I was
first times are
in,
always nerve wracking though. Like
yeah,
it doesn't matter like where, when, or why. It's just it's new, so it's of course.
I always
Yeah. Same.
I hate thinking about them.
I hate new things. New things scare the fuck out of me. Make me incredibly anxious. I hate new things. I love like repetition, routines, all that stuff. Like it just makes me feel like just like safe and comfortable and like all that stuff. Anytime something new like pops up, it's like, what the fuck? Like what's going on? So I mean, I totally get it, 100%.
But it's like, I also like, I kind of like, see, I'm torn, because it's like, yes, I like things that are routine, but I also know, like, especially, I will say this is probably the best thing. And when I tell people, like, if they ever want to move, it's like, if you're thinking about moving and you don't feel comfortable where you are right now, you're making the right decision.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't feel comfortable. It's like
And like,
I
don't like.
feel
I feel like sometimes like people too can like hold themselves back and like stay where they're not comfortable, really comfortable, because they're kind of comfortable. It's what they're used to. They're used to it, but they're not comfortable. It's familiar, we'll say that. But like moving somewhere that they know would be better for them, that they would be actually like happier and like all that stuff, like the like the the stress of it, or the whatever it is, like not knowing anyone there, or like whatever it is, like starting over essentially, like terrifies them. But I'm like, no, like you're actually like going to be starting a new life that you're actually going to be enjoying instead of just settling for.
yeah. And it's why like with all of this, it's like why I'm trying to book my podcast so much, because I'm trying to book like, especially because I'm planning on moving in June. I'm like April. I'm like this month, April. I was like trying to book people constantly because it's like at some point I'm not gonna want to do this, but I'm gonna have to stop at some point just for like a little bit to like transition.
Right.
Because I'm the person who's like, I told myself at the beginning of the year, I'm gonna do 2 interviews a week. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. Next week I have 3. Next week I was supposed to have 2, but my guest earlier this week had to reschedule next week, so it's like then I have 3, and then I think the following week I have 4. I know I'm bad.
Yeah, got a little bit going
But
on, huh?
yeah, but it's also I also look at it, I'm like, and you know this being what you do, it's like if you don't put yourself out there, people will forget you.
I mean, and if you don't put yourself out there, the people that you know do want to see you are gonna be like, where the fuck are you? Like, why don't we see you anymore? Like, yeah. So they can, yeah. It goes both ways. Like, you can easily be forgotten, and then like those like hardcore like true fans, those really like true supporters are just like, where the fuck are you? We miss you. Come back.
See, that's my thing. It's like I'm also someone who's like I like spontaneity sometimes. It's like there have been plenty of times. There's one time I was like down in Miami and I didn't tell anybody I was going to Miami, so I like just went down, and then all of a sudden my best friend was like, he's like, "What are you doing in Miami?" I'm like, I felt like, oh, like literally that was my thing. There have been plenty of times where it's like, yes, I like to plan things out, but there have been plenty of times I've been like, it's Thursday, I've got money, I want to go down to Fort Lauderdale, let me go spend the night, and then like
Yeah.
I do stuff, and my man actually got on me. He's like, I've wanted you to go down to Fort Lauderdale all this time because he wanted me to go for like 3 years, and I kept telling him no, and then all of a sudden
No.
I just showed.
And then you just randomly, oh, I bet that made him so happy. I bet he was thrilled.
Look,
Oh,
I'm
God.
making it up to him. We're going next weekend, but it's like,
See, there you go. There
yeah.
you go.
But I've gone
Oh,
2 other
God.
times since then.
Woo!
Yeah.
You are
Well, because my
brave.
thing is,
You
it's
are
like
brave.
my thing is, it's like when people advertise stuff, it's like, especially people I've wanted to see, because there's been so many people where it's like, my life's so go, 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 that like, I'm like, I should go, like, these people are gracious enough to do my podcast. I should go, like, see them perform. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
that far away.
of course.
And it's like, and they're amazing performers. And it's like, that's why hopefully he's not watching this. I might be going down for the night tomorrow. I haven't decided.
We'll see how you feel.
Yeah. Crazy. So anyway, what made you want to get into porn?
Uh, God. Um, it wasn't really. It wasn't what made me like decide to like actually like do it. Like I had gotten the offer to do porn, since I turned 18. Since I was, I was a model in college, and you get offers and all that stuff from it, and I wanted to see where that career was going to go, and I didn't want getting into porn to kind of muddle that or stunt that,
Mhm.
and because of people's mentality and all that stuff. Uh, so whenever I got into porn, I it was well after I had like stopped modeling, just doing the 9 to 5, so to speak, and uh, a friend of mine um, who had done porn uh, was getting back into it, and he showed the director a picture of me, and they were like, "Hey, would he be interested?" And so he asked me, and I was like, "Sure, why not?" My modeling career is over. I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's kind of a thing. So I was like, why not? I'm like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I've got a good job. Like it'll just be like a fun part-time thing. And it was for a while. It was a fun
Yeah.
part-time thing until my exclusive contracts ran out and I got an agent and saw how many other places wanted, or how many other studios wanted to book me uh, uh, for stuff. And then I was like, oh, so this could be more. This like this could be pretty good. So then it just kind of like snowballed and eventually became the full-time thing, and then evolved into all of this that I do today. So
Yeah.
I didn't really like plan on it. I didn't really I didn't expect it to like take off the way that it did. Um, but I'm not mad at it. I enjoy it. I love my job, like everything that I do, and like all that. So, and I love that I get to do like all the modeling and stuff with it that I love to do back then, and everything. So like I love like bringing that aspect into my porn as well. So
Yeah.
like it's just I like kind of like the fact that like it just brings all that stuff that I like and enjoy, and like things that I like to do, and like be me and all of that just together, and how it's my job and I love it. But it was never the plan. It was totally
Yeah.
never the plan. I just happened to fall into it, and I'm happy I tripped. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was a nice little uh, moment whenever the it all went down, and uh, then yeah, but didn't plan it. Just kind of happened. Glad it did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. Like, I obviously told you what I guess. Well, I shouldn't say why I wanted to become a musician. I'll say like why I wanted to start doing this. So like,
Uh-huh.
this actually came. So I did one season of like just me like on the mic, like kind of telling stories about my life. What it started out originally was is me telling my story of living in Orlando and then all of a sudden having to move home. That's what it started out as. And then
Uh-huh.
when I got to season 2, I'm like I've said all the stories I wanted to do, so it's like let me try interviewing people. And
Okay.
with that, especially doing everything yourself, you never think you're going to succeed. So that was my thing. My thought was like if I'm doing this like 3 months later it'll be great. Now I'm sitting here over a year later and I've done so many
Hmm.
interviews, and it's like for me it's like in some ways you want to be like, "Oh, well, where did that come from? And it's like literally my inspiration, my two interviewing inspirations are Howard Stern and Wendy Williams. So I'm thinking you watch Howard Stern all the time. Like you can do this. Like this isn't like hard. And then like to that whole manager thing and that whole agent thing, I'm very anti that, but I know at some point I'm gonna have to get one. Because it's like, but I'm the person who's like, and
like honestly, like yeah, like they're great and all that stuff, but like just like reaching out and like doing it yourself, like you did, like how we connected and like all that stuff.
yeah,
I have been doing that a lot recently.
yeah,
It's totally paying off. So like definitely like even with you know going with a manager and stuff like that in the future, because they
yeah,
they will be necessary at some point. Like never like lose that that like keep your like like it like just like keep control of it. Like by doing
oh,
that, like you're taking like you're like you know what I mean? I'm trying to like figure out like how to word it,
no,
but like
no.
yeah.
This is the reason why I get what you're saying, and it's like this is why I said I am not the person who's like. Some people are like when I've reached out to them, they're like, "Let me talk to my manager." I'm sorry. If I even when I get a manager, it's like if I want to do something and I'm interested and I'm
Uh-huh.
intrigued
Uh-huh.
by somebody doing something,
Uh-huh.
if you're gonna say, "Oh, you can't do that," that's not gonna be enough exposure to you.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be like, "Fuck off!" Like,
Uh-huh. And you should. And
because
you
it's
should.
honestly, it's like that the whole thing of like people who are like just. I've seen
Like
certain artists do this where it's like,
uh-huh.
"Oh, come on, guys, let's just get this song up to 50,000 Spotify streams." I'm like, okay, why don't you just like literally just tell your fans is be like because this is essentially what you're saying with that. It's like, hey, I'm selling out. Let's make me money. That's literally what you're doing. Like that's why it's like if somebody to that whole fuck off thing, it's like if they're like, so what's the next TikTok challenge gonna be for this song? I'm gonna be like, are you for real? You're gonna sit here and fucking bastardize my life story so that you can make a few bucks? No.
Mm.
No. I know. I'm very sort of anti. As I tell people, I'm anti-capitalist. So I have no problem saying it. Like, capitalism sucks. Like,
I don't really have anything to
yeah. We're gonna go on to the next question. Hold on. So, okay. Don't worry. I know. So, okay. So, what was it like for you on your first shoot?
it it was pretty chill. My friend that referred me, like I said, showed my picture to the director.
Yeah.
He was actually my first scene partner, so it was someone that I was comfortable with, that I was familiar with, that I was into, that like it was easy. It was just having sex in front of a camera, which I was not camera shy at all. So it was a very pleasant experience. It's very yeah, like it was still one of my favorites, like to this day.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. My first performance at the only thing that I wish is that I wish I had the confidence now to dress the way I wanted to back then. That's probably the only thing I would change. But like other than that, it's like the one thing was this is performing in straight bars for you. So like There was one week to end one of my sets, I had screamed "motherfucker" into the microphone and,
Uh-huh.
like, went into a dance break. And then the following week, I went to go sit down at my table, and the owner came from behind the bar, brought me my water, and she's like, "Yeah, there's old people in the audience this week. Don't do that." I'm thinking that this was at a bar. I'm thinking, I'm sorry, am I not at a fucking bar?
I was about to like, where do they think they are playing bingo? No, like they're at a
It's
bar.
like
Like what the fuck?
I think that was
Okay.
not long. That happened like not long before I stopped performing there because I'm thinking like, so now you're gonna try and censor me after I've been going here almost a year.
Yeah.
You're gonna try and censor me now? That's insane. Like, I'm like, fine. I won't swear to offend the old people. And like,
God. Lord.
they
Whew.
did that, and they had like a comedian who did this joke about like a stripper sliding down like the stripper pole with their pussy, and they're like, yeah, don't do that joke either. I'm like, so what are these people gonna watch?
Oh, it's like
Like,
okay, what are they what are they giving you? Like are they paying you to have
no,
like a pleasant experience? Like are they like
no,
I mean like
no,
what are these old people that you are
exactly.
accommodating? What do they provide? What are they giving in this give take situation? Like because it doesn't sound it sounds kind of bizarre to just like change things and it not be for a reason, like an actual like real reason, and then like, oh, they're old. I'm like, yeah, they've been through shit. They understand. They know these words. It's fine. Like,
Yeah, it's
like it's not like there's like a 10-year-old kid sitting out there. It's a fucking bar. Like, come on, man.
yeah.
Like, I'm like, what are they
eh,
giving you? What do they pay you? Are they your patrons? Like, what do they provide? Like, it's
These are all questions I wish I would have had the confidence to ask. I didn't ask them, but I'm like, because my thing
See,
is
you
like,
needed me to be there. You needed me to be there and be like, excuse me, sir.
yeah, because it's like, this is my thing. It's like, granted, I get it. If I did like crazy shit, if I did what Lady Gaga did in the beginning of her career, and just like set cans of hairspray on fire when I was performing. If you
Oh
tell
yeah,
me not to do
yeah,
that when the old people are there, I understand that. But you're gonna tell me not to swear? Like,
yeah. I'm cool with not blowing shit up,
yeah,
but I like, yeah, that's that's pretty bad. That's pretty bizarre. They needed to go. Glad you
yeah,
cut them out.
yes. So, what's the freakiest thing that you've been asked to do either on a porn shoot or while filming for OnlyFans?
The freakiest? Uh, hmm. Freakiest. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if like maybe I'm just not like a good, I guess, judge of what freaky is. Maybe like what I don't think is freaky, people will think be like, oh, it's fucking freaky as hell. Like I don't know. Maybe like my oh god. 'Cause I don't feel like anything that I've done is like freaky. I mean, like I've like
Yeah.
literally like I've uh, done scenes where I will you know uh, like here we go. I've done scenes where I also God anyway. So I mean like I've done scenes where I'll uh, breed the guy and then like eat it out of him like get my tongue all the way in there, like scoop it out. Like I've done like
Yeah.
that, like in a freaky sense. Like I've like I don't know like what I guess like freaky is in a way, or I guess like what would be freaky to you? Like what is like what
Well,
like
okay.
what level of freaky are you looking for here? It might
See,
spark something.
my thing is, I'll say the one thing. Well, actually, no, I'll take that back. I've
Another
said
time.
no. I've said no to 3 things. Well, actually, 2 of them kind of align with the same thing. So
Okay.
it's like anything involving scat, I've honestly like I've
Oh
been
yeah,
asked
no.
no. So
I've
like
not
that
been
was
asked to do that professionally at all.
yeah,
Random people on the internet, absolutely, but no,
yeah.
not for work.
And then the other thing was somebody asked me if they could fist me one time, and I'm like, I said the diplomatic thing where it's like, okay, you're not doing that to me because I'm like, my thing is as someone who's like primarily bottomed, I know this stuff. It's
Uh
like
huh.
my hole is very tight. So I'm like,
Uh huh.
I have sometimes have difficulty getting a dick in. Like the idea
Uh
of
huh.
somebody like sticking their whole fist in me
Oh, I get it.
sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you. I cannot. I can't. I can't. I. I'm not there yet. Maybe one day. I've been uh practicing and learning about my body and muscle control and all that stuff specifically, in that area for, bottoming and all that stuff because I
Yeah.
do enjoy bottoming. It's just like I guess feeling more like comfortable and confident in that. And yeah, like because I too tight, 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 tight.
Hmm.
And it's
Hmm.
just like learning how to, I guess, warm up, so to speak,
Yeah.
and like I guess like at the pace and like what to do and like all that. Because I mean, it can take a minute. Like it can take a good minute. Like if like you can't just rush in. I'm like you gotta be patient. You gotta be patient.
Yes.
Um, and then you can beat the hell out of it. But like no, you gotta like take the steps. You gotta warm it up. You gotta like get it going because you no don't you're gonna break it. You will break it
Mm,
otherwise, and nobody wants that. No one.
this is my simple like thing that I've always said. Like, and some guys think this is freaky and weird, but I say this: if you don't eat a bottom's ass before you fuck him, you're disrespectful as fuck. That's just my opinion.
Preach.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
when
that's what it's
when gu-
for. That's what it's for.
that's why
To,
guys say
yeah, go for it.
I don't do that, or like the other one that they say it's like when guys say I've had guys say this to me, they're like, as long as it's clean. I'm thinking,
Why the fuck wouldn't it be clean?
yeah, it's like, do you not realize that I'm gonna shower before we fuck? Like, I wasn't
Right.
raised
Like
in a barn.
how
Like,
like are you like how dare you? How dare you disrespect my skills at the bottom? Like how dare
yeah,
you? Yeah. I don't God. Mm-mm, that I don't do that. I'm like, yeah, I bet you are the guy that only I bet the guy that's like, oh, I don't do that is probably the one that is just going to sit back and just make you ride and do all the work. He's probably not going to put any work in either. It just sounds like a lazy top to me that I don't do that. Okay, lazy, what else don't you do? Like, am I going to have fun? Are we going to have a good time doing this? Because I'm already getting like meh from this. You know what I mean?
see, like, yeah, it's like with that to the lazy top thing. I do top sometimes, but it's like The only reason I usually have a bottom ride me is because, like, so I found this out with my man, where it's like, I had tried topping before, like, years before, and I'd never been able to come, and, like,
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm not saying
in
there's
that
anything wrong with writing. Like
no,
writing is my
no, no, no.
like my favorite. Like when
No,
I'm
no, no,
writing
I
stuff,
get I
I
get I
love
get
it.
what you're
But
saying.
like you got to put like you got to do the work too. Like it's like that's what like it is. Like it's back and forth. Like you got to both put some work in. Like
Yeah,
can't handle a lazy bottom either. Like don't just like no like get into it. Like arch that back. Come on, let's go. Like like you both got to do your part. Cannot have
yeah.
any kind of lazy partner in sex. I'm just like, no, done, get out, thank you, don't call. Yeah, but
No,
anyway,
yeah.
so as you were saying,
Yeah, so, like, so when he rode me, because it's, like, one time when he spent so I live at home with my dad went out of town, so, like, I
uh-huh.
invited him over, I'm like, "Yeah, come over, babe, let's have sex, like, I have the house to
Yeah,
myself this weekend." So, like, without telling me, I was just, like, lying on the couch, and all of a sudden, he, like, started sucking my dick, and I'm like, clearly, I'm like, "I'm
uh-huh.
not gonna stop you, like, go on, babe,
By
do what
all
you want."
means.
And then he lubed it up and, like, just sat on it, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I was thinking, I was sitting back, I was, like, closing my eyes, I'm thinking, I'm like, "Well, let's have nothing happen again," because, like, I got used to it, and all of a sudden,
Uh-huh.
he stopped, he's like, "You just came." "I did?" Like, I was so, like, out of it that, like, I didn't
Uh-huh.
even know that I came, and then, like
Yeah.
and then he kept on going, I'm like and he got, like, 2 more loads. This is the thing, he's someone,
Okay.
like
Come on, stamina.
yeah, I have it because it's, like, the last
Same.
time we did it, he dropped, like I dropped, like, 10 loads in the process of, like, 2 hours because I'm like, "If you have the stamina to do it," I'm like, "teach me things about myself because I did not know that." I'm like
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "What?" I'm like I'm like, "God." But it's amazing. It's amazing when that kind of stuff happens. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah. Who doesn't love learning about them? New things about themselves sexually
yes.
speaking. It's a lot of fun, especially you know well, I love learning new things about myself sexually because I've done so much sexually that I'm like, are there any new ones? But yeah, always fun. So much fun.
And well, okay, I didn't write this. I'll skip one of the questions and add this in. So it's like in some ways, I guess what would make it fun and exciting for you? Because I know a lot of people's like misconception is that porn stars just like love having sex all the time. And it's honestly, at least from what I've heard, it's kind of the opposite. Like, I mean, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, people do think that you're just like sex, sex, sex all the time, but it's it's just not. It's not true. It's totally not true. Like there are other things. There are other things that I have to do with my day. I can't. I can't just like yeah, just and also whenever it's like your job, you kind of want to like before I do like studio scenes or anything like that. Like I won't get off for like a few days before, just so that I have like a badass cum shot on film. So like there's a lot of times when like my body is in what I call blackout, and like you can't,
Yeah.
especially whenever you do studio scenes, like, you always have to go through testing and all that stuff. So once you have your test done, there's no sex
Yeah.
after that. So you still you've got like you've got like 2 weeks that of like nothing, and all that. So it's like there's a lot of not having sex that goes on whenever you're a porn star just as well, but people don't realize that there are
Yeah.
certain times where you're just like I cannot be touched
Yeah.
despite wanting to. I cannot be touched.
No, because you sometimes want yeah, you want a break. Like
Yeah.
this is my thing. Some people think like, oh yeah, sex every day sounds like a great idea. I'm like, but is it? Does it though? Like, does it like Like, I mean, granted, I've had those moments myself where I'm like, at some point, I'm thinking, so where did I plan my nap in here? Because I feel like I need one. Like,
Oh gosh.
so okay, so okay, so I'm gonna skip that question. So I'm gonna ask you about working with a photographer I know. So I've interviewed on here. So what was it like working with Jay Steele?
It was amazing. Like such it was so much fun. Like as soon as we met and like started talking and all that, like we just instantly clicked. Um like totally vibed, like all that stuff. And like we only had like a couple hours to shoot because I literally flew in, got to the hotel. He showed up like maybe 30 minutes later, and then like we shot for a couple hours, and then I had to get ready to go to the club that I was doing the appearance at that night.
Yeah,
And so like our time was like very like limited, but like we hit it off so well and all that stuff that we're best friends. We are best friends now. Like we talk every day. We talk about everything. We share everything. We like we check on each other, like check up on each other, like making sure like, we're having good days, like good mentally, good whatever. Like whenever something
yeah,
crazy happens or fun happens or whatever, like we just like we run to one another and be like, "Oh my god, you can't believe the shit that just happened today," like
yeah,
that kind of stuff. Like it was like so much fun. Like we vibe so well. Like our work, like styles and like all that stuff, are very similar. They complement each other very well. So like it was just yeah, it was just a great experience. Like connecting with another, you know, creative soul that like truly shared the same, you know, style, inspiration, the same, whatever it is that you want to call it. Like we're it's cool. Like we like come up with some pretty awesome shit together that like we're for us to like shoot and stuff
yeah,
like that whenever we see each other next. Like I'm probably gonna, go visit sometime and have like a week long of just like all this stuff that we that we want to do because we just keep like making all
yeah.
this stuff up on our our own little list. So, but yeah, it was amazing experience. Great guy. Like it was totally random, and didn't expect it to you know uh, be a connection or a friendship that became what it has become. And speaking of, you just texted me. Um, see, I told you.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I wasn't expecting it, and you know, I'm glad it happened because now I've got a new best friend or another best friend,
Yeah.
not a new one. I still got the old one too, but like no, it's great whenever you connect with someone like that, and like it's very rare, so it's great.
No. Yeah, I will say I'm hopefully this is how I'm planning it on working out. I'm hoping that he's gonna be the one to shoot my album cover. So like that'll be like something that will be nice and like
Yeah,
because I've never done like a professional photo shoot, so that would be like nice to like
yeah.
kind of do.
Everyone
But it's
should
like
do at least one in their life, even if it's just like photos for themselves or whatever. Like the experience of it, like is yeah, I it's awesome. I love photo shoots. Like, love them. Like it's so much fun. You're gonna have a blast.
no, I did like speaking to that video where I said my drag sister put me in makeup. She did like a photo shoot that time where she's like she just wanted me to take all these photos. I'm like okay. I'm like granted, I'm like I can take direction theoretically. I can kind of listen.
Theoretically, I can take direction. Theoretically, hypothetically speaking, can I be directed? I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, yeah,
But
because that
he's good.
was yeah, and it's like I like his stuff, and the great thing is like as you said with those concepts, I already have like concepts of stuff that I want to like
Uh huh.
put out because like especially like as I was saying, this this album and like why it's so important to me because like this is my life, so this is like my baby. So like it's
Right.
basically like putting somebody's giving somebody like the thing where it's like I want you to make something special because this album to me is special. It's like
Uh-huh. It's very personal.
yeah, and it's like some people are like, "You made a personal dance album?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yes, yes, of course. People are gonna dance to my pain." Like, there's something oddly like beautiful about that.
Most of my favorite songs and the songs that I'm drawn to and attracted to and things like that are incredibly sad, but they
Yeah,
have beautiful melodies and harmonies, and they've got a killer beat and an awesome bass line and like all that's like they're very like beautiful, like dancey upbeat songs, but whenever you listen to the lyrics and things, they're tragically sad. So like I get like that's 100% like my kind of music
yeah,
right there. Because like I don't know, like I guess like I like the blend of it, like the contrast, the like the beautiful, happy, upbeat, like kind of like thing, and then like the lyrics of it being, kind of the balance of it, the sadness, the emotional part of it. It's like a cool
yeah.
balance.
Although it's like, granted, I experiment with all different kinds of genres, and it's like the one like weird one where it's like I wrote a song and then like I wrote this like weird like sort of like braggadocious song to like this kind of like sad trap beat, and I'm like it's somehow I looked at this, I'm like this shouldn't work, but it does. Like
But it does, right? I think of
yeah,
that all the time whenever I'm putting my looks together. I'm like, I don't know what possessed me to create this combination, this pairing, but it strangely works, and I'm here for
yes,
it. You know, try, experiment, switch things up.
yes,
Like I'm all about that.
yes. So, what's your dating life been like?
Oh, let's skip that question then.
Okay, I can do it.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Okay, so what's your relationship to drugs and alcohol?
Um, to each their own. Like, I have no problem with, whatever it is you want to do and all that stuff. Um, like, I don't know. I guess I don't have, like, any kind of, like, things about it, so to speak. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no problem. Like, you want to drink and get drunk and do all that stuff, like, great. Like, I'm not going to join you because I'm not a drinker. I can't handle it. My body's like, no, absolutely not. So, like, yeah, it's just be responsible and never pressure anyone into doing anything um, that they don't want to do or don't feel comfortable with. Um, just be smart.
Yeah.
Please be smart in anything that you do. Like, don't get plastered and then go drive your car off a bridge, or like
Um
anything like just be smart, be responsible, be a good human being, and just handle your shit. Like you're
right.
you're you're an adult. You can do your thing. Just you know, be responsible. Be smart.
See, this is where we're gonna go into the where I had an irresponsible moment. It was a wake up call, but it's not like I don't have a problem. Like I don't have a
Yeah.
problem. So like, but I just had a night. It was one of those nights where I was performing. It's like in my early to mid 20s, where it's like I feel like at that time I didn't have the like gall I would now when people are like buying me drink after drink after drink. I'd be like,
Oh yeah.
I now I'd be like, no, I'm good. Like I'm good. I need 2 drinks, but back then I didn't. So like
Yeah.
I just kept on. I think I had like 9, and then like
Oof.
so then I got in my car
Oof.
and I had to drive an hour home.
Mm.
And
Oh gosh.
About 45 minutes into the drive, I got pulled over by a cop,
Okay.
and luckily my dad saved my ass. Otherwise, I would have gotten a DUI. But it's like I learned the lesson.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like now it's like I can have a couple drinks, but it's like overall, it's like as a musician, I always look at it this way. Like I'm singing on stage. It's better for me not to be drinking alcohol. Alcohol dries out your
Oh
throat.
yeah.
Most people don't know
Absolutely not.
that.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
I'm
Especially,
good.
especially whenever, you are like doing something like that, you're a performer,
Yeah.
you're an artist, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you like all like please, please, please respect everyone enough that is there to see you and support you and all that stuff. Please respect them enough to not be a hot, sloppy mess. And
Yeah.
yeah, like be more professional than that. Please be lucid.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it's like it's like clearly again like older and wiser. I wasn't a mess. I'm not the messy kind of drunk. I'm more giggly, but it's like
Uh-huh.
nonetheless, it's like I'm like right. Lesson learned. Got it.
Got it.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on how the LGBT community is being treated today?
My thoughts. Surprised but not surprised. If that makes any sense. Um, like I feel like we were doing so well, like
Hmm.
and things progressing, all that stuff. Like, you know, whenever I started going out and things like that, like, you know, we didn't have, the right to get married. Like, don't ask, don't tell was still a thing. Like there's all of these, you know, big moments, you know, that I've been alive for and, have gotten to witness and all that stuff. And it's just like, kind of feels like a step back in a way with,
Right.
how we're seen, like how we're viewed and everything. It's just, but like, I also know that, like, or I believe, I know that, it's just, we'll call them growing pains, I guess. Like, because I know it's not always going to be like this, because I know that, you know, we've pushed and fought and, you know, done everything that we could possibly do, um, to, you know, have the progress that we've had. And we just got to keep doing it. Like, we can't get comfortable and complacent and
Right.
think, like, oh, the world's just going to love us forever and ever. And that's all fine. Like, no, like, like, that would be amazing. And it should be that way. But apparently, um, there's still a lot of uh, uneducated people that
Hmm.
are, don't think so.
Yeah.
So it's just going to take more time, you know, and we just got to kick ass at it. We just, we can't let it get us down. We can't, like, we've got to be proactive, and it's just, yeah, like 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 we've got it. We just got to work at it and keep our heads up, stay positive, you know, do what we can, educate.
Hmm.
God, That's the thing. Educate.
Yes.
And we'll get there one day.
Right.
And I hope I'm allowed to see it. Because that'll be another
Yeah.
one that I can just check off my list. But yeah, so that's basically it.
With this, I say my answer is very short on this one. It's like it's about as good as it's gonna get in the United States now. I honestly feel our focus needs to be to helping the international LGBT community, because this is how it's like, yes, it's sad that like trans and non-binary people are getting, there's like 1-2 stories in the United States that happen occasionally, but it's like you go over to the Middle East, gay people are dying every day for just being themselves.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, when you think about that, it's like, yes, these priorities matter, but I feel like these priorities need to happen even more.
Yeah.
Sad but true. And
Sad but
to
true.
my final question, what's the biggest misconception about you?
The biggest misconception about me. That the biggest misconception about me. That how do I say this? Biggest misconception about me is that people don't expect me to have a brain, have a personality, have an intellect, to have skills, to have talents, to have anything outside of my appearance. Probably.
Yeah.
Basically, that I'm just like a normal human being that has all these things, and I've you know gotten education. I've worked with amazing people and things like that, and I've gained all these skills and all that I've been lucky to do and experience and to grow as a person. And it's like you know people don't. I guess like they don't really like. They just think that I've just kind of coasted through life, like relying on pretty, so to speak, and
Yes.
that I haven't done anything um, to educate myself, or develop anything, uh, is probably the biggest misconception that people have
Yeah.
about me.
I have two.
Yeah.
One of them is that I'm told I'm intimidating,
Oh, I get
which,
that a lot too.
well, yeah, because you're also, if I remember reading correctly, you're also tall like I am, right?
I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, so I'm six
Yeah.
three. So like,
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like you put me in heels, I'm 6'6", 6'7", 6'8".
Right.
Like, it's like that whole and I'm wearing sunglasses inside. It's like, for me, it's like, yes,
Uh-huh.
I get you being intimidated by me, but it's like, especially as a drag queen, it's like if you start a conversation with me, most of the time I'm gonna talk back. Except like if I'm reading something on you where it's like, because this is the thing, I've been the drag queen who's had to sit there because this is how nice I am. I'm the person who's like had to babysit the drunk person and like be
Oh,
therapist and
yeah.
hear them. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You're like, this is not my job.
It's like, this is not my job. But it's like, but I'm like, granted, I will make sure the craziest time was actually, so I knew somebody who was like plastered. This one who lives in Orlando was like plastered drunk, and like their house was like 45 minutes away from the bar that they were at. I'm thinking no, where I was performing. I'm like no. I'm like, you're gonna come home. You're gonna spend the night at my place. And like in the morning, I had never seen this person. This person never seen me at a drag. So I had to go up to them, and I'm like, I literally asked a question. I'm like, do you know who I am? Like,
Well, I can't really relate to that problem
yeah,
because I mean, the only thing that
you're
I
you.
remove is I only remove my clothes, and everybody already knows what that looks like. So
Yeah,
I can't say that I can relate
yeah.
with you on that, but yeah.
And then the other one is that I'm shady, which
Oh,
I mean, granted, I will admit that I'm opinionated. I will absolutely admit that I'm opinionated. I have no problem. If I didn't have opinions, I wouldn't be an artist. Like, it's like, I'm sorry if like I think you're untalented. I'm gonna tell you that I think you're untalented. Some people say like that's mean. I'm like, no, what's being mean is like knowing that somebody doesn't have the chops to do something and be like, oh my god, babe, you did amazing. Keep doing that. It's like you are setting them up for failure.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little constructive criticism, 'cause,
But depending on yes, constructive criticism, yes.
delivery,
But
delivery, delivery is what makes it shady or constructive criticism.
there are sometimes I would go up to people and be like, who the fuck told you could do this? Like, I know that's not constructive at all.
It's more like an interrogation.
That's very blunt. But
Who
it's like,
told you? You have a flashlight in their face, like who? Like, yeah,
but this is
it's a
the
little different.
thing. This is why I feel at some point, this is one of my other goals. It's like to host a singer songwriter show, and it's like yes, I'll be the person who's like, if you want to like put me as like the evil person who's like the bitchy one who tells them the truth, I will gladly do that. Although I know
You will
I
play
couldn't.
that role.
Yeah, but I also know I couldn't play that role because it's like if I see the hot person, I'm gonna start flirting with them. First of all,
Uh,
this is why I love my man because there's one point that like somebody who's trying to date me like saw on Instagram that I was like sending all these like flirty, like not flirty, but like commenting like, "Oh my god, you're so sexy" to all these guys, and they're like,
uh-huh.
I get jealous. I'm thinking, baby, that's my job. Like,
Same.
it's like, it's like, I'm sorry, like, because I have that discussion with my man right now. I'm like, you have to understand, if I do this, this, and this, that's not cheating on you. That's me being an entertainer. But it's like, if I literally like go out and get fucked by somebody else or fuck somebody else, okay, fine. You can say that's cheating, like it
You can
because it
say that's
is.
cheating. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like if I'm getting
God.
if I'm getting simulated getting fucked on stage, it's not me cheating, that's me performing.
Yeah, definitely not.
I am an artist. Yes. Anyway, with that being said, it was a pleasure getting to meet you.
You too. We should do this again sometime.
Definitely. I will definitely be in touch. And with
Alright.
that being said, this is Gay Out the City. I'm your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and I hope you've enjoyed.